Hey, so today I'm going to dive into a struggle that is really universal. It comes up in conversations when I talk with you all the time. And it seems like this problem comes out of nowhere for a lot of us, but it affects so many of us. And it is this issue of like this constant seemingly unshakable fatigue. The energy just goes way down. And so think about it this way. Have you ever had one of those days where like you just cannot shake that like drained feeling, no matter how much coffee you drink? And I may take a sip of this. And so if you're watching on YouTube, you'll know I picked up what looks like an iced coffee. It is an iced coffee. It's a mushroom coffee though. And it's, as I'm recording this, it is the middle of the afternoon, but that topic is for another day. It's not about energy. It's more about focus. I'll share some information with you guys about that. But anyway, so I know I used to have that afternoon energy slump all the time. I mean, I mainlined, that's the word I'm looking for. I mainlined coffee. My administrative assistants, when I worked in higher education, it was a joke that they kept the coffee pot with fresh coffee. I had a full pot in my office. I didn't go to like the workroom to share coffee. I had a coffee pot in my office, and the joke was that I kept an IV running of coffee. And the reality is that it wasn't really as funny as I joked about it being, because I had an energy issue. And it was not just because I was getting older. And that's what I want to talk with you guys about today is that this slump that you're feeling, if you're feeling that constant fatigue, it's not just because you're getting older. There are some pretty sneaky but scientific reasons for that low energy. And some of these reasons go beyond kind of the obvious, right? And so what I want to do today is dig in a little bit with you on what's actually going on when you feel that midday slump, or when you feel like, you just cannot power through, even sometimes on good days. So grab a tea, grab water or a cup of coffee, and maybe even grab a notebook and take some notes, and let's dive in. Okay, so first off, let's talk about hormones. For so many of you, there's this hormone roller coaster going on. We're in midlife. If you're listening to this and you're over 40, you are on that hormone roller coaster with estrogen and progesterone and cortisol. I mean, you name it, our hormones are all over the place. And the fluctuations, I call it hormone havoc. Those fluctuations really create a lot of chaos in our system. And when our hormones are not optimized, when they're out of sync, it can absolutely drain your energy like nobody's business. Okay. If you ever feel like I'm doing all the right things, I'm going to bed, I'm getting plenty of sleep, I'm getting that, 7, 8 hours, but I just cannot shake that tired feeling. Maybe you even wake up and right away already feel like you're tired, right? That is not laziness. It's not a lack of motivation. It's your body sending a signal to you, specifically signaling you that your hormones are not optimized. In fact, they are out of balance, and your energy levels get impacted way before those imbalances show up on a blood test. It's also why a lot of times when women say, well, I'm going to have my hormones tested, the issues that you're struggling with likely are showing up long before your doctor is going to see it on a test. And most of the time, if you have your hormones tested, your doctor is going to tell you, well, they're in the normal range. That just means that it is normal when we're over 40 for our hormones to fluctuate. It's normal for them to be out of balance, out of whack. So when they tell you that you're in the normal range, you're in the normal range that's still negatively impacting you. They're not optimized, and you're not having they're not optimized in a way that you are being able to be productive, that you're not being negatively impacted. And the good thing about all of this is there are ways that you can support your hormones that have nothing to do with going to your doctor and getting on any kind of medications. In fact, food is an excellent place to start. And you don't roll your eyes because, yep, of course I'm going to go to nutrition, right? But here's a really great tip in terms of nutrition and energy. You can incorporate foods that support hormone balance. And think about things like leafy greens, salmon, other fish that are rich in omega-3s, and even some supplements that you can use, some natural supplements to help to optimize things. I'm not big on supplements, but there are opportunities for you to use natural supplements that are quality sourced, and I can take talk about that more in depth on another episode for you, or you can message me and ask about that. But when there is an indication that a supplement can help, I absolutely give recommendations to our clients for certain things, but they're not products. They're naturally occurring supplements to replenish what sometimes we're not able to get everything from our foods, and that's fine. So there's some room there. I'm not going to go into details about which ones, but attending to nutrition in the ways that you can to optimize hormone balance can really make a noticeable difference in your energy, in your mood, in a lot of different ways. And I know that it can feel like sometimes, you've already tried it all, but if you make some impactful, even small changes, they they really do add up. Your body will thank you for the extra support. So hormone havoc is one of the reasons for your slump. Second, I want to talk about how we sabotage our sleep. And it is equally tricky in terms of your energy, but sleep or the lack of it is a huge problem as it relates to energy. So just when we're getting to the stage in life where we need sleep and quality sleep the most, here come the night sweats, the restless nights, waking up at 4 a.m. and going, what the hell? Why am I awake at 4 o'clock in the morning? Sleep is one of those things that seems really simple in theory, but it gets complicated fast when hormones are at play, which that's affecting all of us who are over 40, right? And so that deep, restful sleep feels like a distant memory for a lot of us, but it is really essential to get that quality sleep so that we can recharge our batteries, so that we can get that energy level back up. Without it, it's like you're trying to, run your car on an empty battery, but you're doing it every single day. So something you can do is to create more of a calming kind of bedtime routine. Look, when our kids are young and they have trouble sleeping, we put a bedtime routine in place for them, right? You have a wind down period, you have dinner, and then you have some quiet time, and they take a bath to calm themselves and bring down their excitement from the day, give their brain and their body time to unwind. You put some lotion on them, you put fresh, warm PJs on them. We may not want the warm PJs, but fresh, sweet, smelling PJs, that kind of a routine can really work wonders for us too. So do some things like dim the lights an hour before bed. Make sure that all over the house, even if you're not going into your room, but all over the house, the lights in your home are dimmed. Avoid screens if you can. And I know that's really difficult for us to stay off of our phones or not to be, checking email, but try to, even if you just start with like the 30 minutes before you go to bed, try to reduce your exposure to screen time. And that includes TV too. Set your your room to a really like cool temperature. I have I guess one of the upsides of our AC going out this last year was that when we got the entire new system, we got a thermostat that could be controlled by an app, and I could set timers on it. So every evening I have it set so that before we go to bed, a certain amount of time before we go to bed, because there's some biological reasons for the timing of this too, but the temperature in our house drops by about 3 or 4 degrees, because your body temperature, scientifically, your body temperature has to drop for you to get into a restful kind of recuperative type of sleep. So drop the temperature in your house a little bit. Make sure you're in that kind of cozy, quiet, cool environment. Things like herbal teas, reading, those kinds of things can also help. Um, it's like creating a little cocoon of sleep support, right? And the goal is to signal to your body like, hey, it's time to wind down. Just like I said earlier, we did that for our kids when they were younger. And those kinds of small tweaks can make a big difference, especially if you do it over time. With everything, all the tips really that I give you, they're not things that you can do once or twice or even just for a week and expect that you're going to see a big difference. You need to incorporate things like this and sort of trust the process, if you will. Don't expect that you're going to get results until you've spent some time being really consistent with these kinds of practices, because it takes your body, your brain, and your body, all of the systems, biological systems, it takes them time to recognize and sort of adapt and give you the benefit from it. The last thing I'll talk about, so those two, hormones and sleep. The last one is the metabolic slowdown. So let's talk about metabolism. If you listen to the podcast or you follow me on social media, you know that I talk about this all the time. As we get older, our metabolism downshifts. It goes into that energy saver mode, if you will. And that can leave you feeling sluggish, especially around midday. It's a cycle. And if you've ever noticed that around 3 o'clock, you have kind of a slump, and you probably have noticed that what coincides with that slowdown or that slump is that you maybe think about a snack. You start thinking, oh, it's time to raid the snack cabinet at work or go to the pantry if you work from home. That's your metabolism slowing down in that cycle, that 24-hour cycle. And it's completely normal, but there are some things you can do. The tricky part is that when we're feeling low on energy, we're likely to reach for sugary kinds of things, those quick fix snacks that we think are going to burst our energy. And the problem is they don't give us the fuel that we need. We also, this is when we typically will reach for the coffee. I know that's the time of the day when I had a fresh pot of coffee made and I would, mainline it again. The problem is that it it's not the friend that we think it is. It can actually make things worse when you're diving into the sugary treats, when you're, deep diving into the coffee pot at that time of day. It can make that running on empty feeling even worse. And so a tip that I have for you with this is, and I talk about this all the time, you need to increase the amount of protein. Focus on protein-packed meals and snacks. And because protein is a fantastic way for you to help stabilize your blood sugar levels. And that keeps you from crashing in the afternoon, along with a host of other benefits from that. But if you add in some protein snacks, and then even you can complement that with some healthy fats, pair a protein with a healthy fat, like, a few nuts or some avocado, you're going to stay satisfied even longer, and you're going to feel steadier over the course of the day in terms of the amount of energy that you feel. The shift that I'm talking about is not just about maintaining muscle or for weight loss goals. It really helps your energy level stay more balanced and consistent throughout the day when you focus on protein. And I know you hear about the power of protein all the time. I talk about it on social channels. I've talked about it here. I talk about it in my Total Wellness Facebook community. But here's the thing. It's a great tip. The problem is knowing how much protein you actually need. That's the difference maker, especially if you have serious energy struggles or you have weight loss goals in mind. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit, but it's not as simple as just increasing your protein. So if you've been feeling like your energy is in a constant slump, know that it's not all in your head. There are real biological reasons for it. And whether it's your hormones that are throwing things off, your sleep quality, your metabolism that has naturally, decided to hit its brakes, those are all things that are manageable if you make some intentional tweaks. And I would love for you to start with these 3 things that I've given you. See how you feel after a week. If you just want to pick one, pick the protein, right? Up your protein. See how you feel after a week of increasing your intake on a daily basis regularly, right? And if you need some more specific advice, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, this is what I do all day with the women in our one-on-one coaching program and in my mentorship. I help them to get on track with a strategy that really works. And specifically, they know exactly how much protein to eat, and they know how to do that without calculating or tracking grams of protein. You just don't have to do that. And I'll share another little secret about protein here. You may have heard me talk about this too, especially if you are in our total wellness community. Protein really is a tricky thing. This is what I was talking about earlier, because just adding more is, like increasing your protein just generically, it's not going to automatically get you to your goals. You have to know how much protein you need. And then that has to be adjusted because it doesn't stay the same. I see all the time this like generic advice on social media of like, eat this amount of grams per body weight. And, there are a variety of ways that those kinds of generic pieces of advice are doled out. But you don't eat just the same amount of protein, especially if you have energy and weight loss goals. Your protein intake has to be monitored and it has to be adjusted according to the sustainable progress that you're making and the goals that you have, ultimate goals that you have. So if you're not sure where to start with protein, I can help you to do that. Just reach out to me. In fact, because like I said, I do that for our clients. But okay, what if you're not a client, right? So, what do you do if just upping the protein isn't, like just enough for you? One of the problems that I hear with women is I don't know how to increase my protein. Does that mean that I should have a protein shakes? Does that mean I should use protein powder? If so, what kind of protein powder? What kinds of foods actually are good sources of protein? So what I have done recently, I put together a brand new e-cookbook, and it is 150 some odd pages. It has over 50 high protein recipes, things that are easy, that are delicious. Some of them are snacks, some of them are full-on meals. But if you want it, head over, and there's a link in the show notes here, head over to my Total Wellness community on Facebook. I'm giving away the first 100 copies of that ebook completely free. So I will put a link to the Total Wellness community in the show notes. And with a reminder about the ebook, but grab that ebook. You will not be disappointed. It has some really great brand new recipes. And I really hope that this episode shares a little bit of light on the why behind your fatigue, because it really is not just about, oh, now that I'm in my 50s, I'm, losing energy, or I'm feeling that slump. I really do believe that if you take some of the tips that I'm talking to you about today, you really will start to see a difference in how you feel every day. Just remember that you have to incorporate them for more than just a few days. But the smallest changes really can make a huge impact over time. So try some of what I've talked about. Let me know how you're feeling. If you want to talk more specifically about anything nutritionally, movement wise, metabolism, your struggles, any of those things, you can reach out to me at any time. So thanks for hanging in here with me today. I always appreciate you spending time with me, and I'll see you right back here next time.